Okay, y'all, so I feel like I just need to hurry up and get this video out because I know y'all are waiting for baby Cam's. Girl, listen, I know I look all kinds of crazy. My hair is coming out and just right after I finish this video. And I'm in the process of taking my lashes off. Like, I got my coconut oil sitting. Don't even mind all that. Just listen to just listen to the story. Okay, so my due date was November 22nd. November 22nd came, and I was still pregnant. 8 o'clock was rolling around. I didn't feel no contractions, no nothing. But mind you, a month prior to that, he was threatening to come. Like, I lost my mucus plug about 4 or 5 times, and it just kept coming back. I didn't even know that there was a thing, like, that could happen. Like, my whole pregnancy, well, not my whole pregnancy, because, the little bit of pregnancy I did have. My mucus plug kept coming out, and they're like, oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. It's going to grow back. Okay. So, probably about a week before, like the week leading up to me throwing strawberries for his birthday party, I felt like I was leaking fluids. Like, I had a slow leak in my water bag. So I went to the doctors, and they're like, oh, no, it's not amniotic fluid. I'm like, I know I'm not peeing. Like, I thought that he was, like, really trying to come. I usually get frequent Braxton Hicks, so I was getting Braxton Hicks and stuff, and I'm just like, please, whatever you do, please, son, do not come on your sister's birthday. Do not come before this party is done with, because all my hard work and all my planning is going to be for nothing, so just hang on tight. I guess my prayers worked, and now it's my due date, and I'm still pregnant. So 8 o'clock roll around, and I'm just like, I'm not going to do the midwives brew. I'm just going to let him come on his own. But tomorrow I'm gonna be overdue. Like, I don't want to be overdue. So I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna do it. So I went in my trusty old midwives brew cabinet, and I mixed together the midwives brew, and I drank it. Now, I know from the previous time I took the midwives brew not to go to sleep, because that will slow down or stall the process of it working. But my body was just so tired that I just laid down across the bed and I went to sleep. That was about, like, I drank the midwives brew at 8 o'clock. By 8:30, I was asleep. 11 o'clock, I get a phone call from my dad. I answer the phone, and I'm like, hello? He like, dang, you ain't had that baby yet? I'm like, haha, real funny. Like, why would you call me and say that? Like, I'm already upset that he's not here. Like, now you just, like, rubbing it in. Like, so he like, ha ha ha. Well, when is he gonna come? When is he gonna come? And as soon as he said that, I got my first contraction. So I got up and I sat on the birthing ball, and I'm just bouncing on my birthing ball, talking to him. But the whole time I'm having contractions, but I'm distracted by the conversation. So, it wasn't really that bad. I wasn't timing them, and I wasn't really, like, paying them no mind. I knew that they had started, but I'm like, this is just the beginning. They far apart. I ain't worried about it. So I'm bouncing, talking on the phone. Next thing you know, I realized that we've been on the phone for an hour. So I'm like, all right, Dad, I'm about to, go back to sleep, because he probably gonna come tomorrow. I want, my rest or whatever. He was like, all right, bye, love you or whatever, bye. So he hangs up. And when he hung up, I realized that my contractions was way worse than what I thought they were. Like, I'm like, hold up. So I started timing them. I think I had about 6 contractions in 20 minutes. So I basically went downstairs. I told my husband, I was like, it's time to hit this baby. And he like, all right. So we just put the stuff in the car. We didn't want what happened last time, so we just went then. Instead of, like, waiting, I didn't want to wait at all, because it could have been a possibility that he came very, very quickly. So the first, sign of contractions, I was supposed to go, but I sat there and talked on the phone for an hour, but whatever. So we went, we got there. It was really, really quiet, very serene. It was amazing. My, one thing I forgot to do was to call my doula. I had got assigned a new doula a week prior to my due date. I really didn't know her like that, and I I don't want to say I didn't care for her, but I didn't really like get to know her like I got to know the other one. So it was sort of like she just was there but not there. Whatever. But I got there. She like, yeah, you can lay down, go to sleep. It's set up like a bedroom in there. It has a crib and everything for once the baby comes, and off to the side there's like, countertops and stuff with like medical equipment and stuff on it. But for the most part, it looks and feels like home. So she's just like, I'll come and I'll sneak in. I'm timing your contraction. So with every contraction, I'm going to listen to the baby's heart rate and make sure, your heart rate and the baby's heart rate is okay. But just pretend that I'm not here and, do whatever it is that you want to do. You can sleep or whatever. I'll be sure to be really, really quiet and not disturb you guys. My husband heard her go to sleep. He jumped in that bed and went to sleep. I mean, like, knocked out as if he was, like, just got off a, like, 14-hour shift. But anyway, so he's asleep. He's knocked out. So now I'm just kind of, like, laying there. I'm laying through my contractions. I'm breathing. And, there it go. They coming off. But anyway, they, like, they coming. And she's like checking the heart rate. The next thing you know, I felt something really, really warm on my back. She went and got me a nice heating pad to put on my back. I just was like, oh, I like this. Like, she doing better than the baby daddy. Like, it was so nice. She was like rubbing my back, and she had like timed my contractions, so it was like she automatically knew when they were like coming. It was just so relaxing and so nice. And after a while, I just kind of like drifted off and went to sleep. So that was probably like around 1 a.m. So drifted off, went to sleep. I woke back up at about 6. I believe it was 6. And I had like an excruciating pain, like excruciating contraction that like woke me up out of my sleep. I said, okay, I guess active labor is starting. Like I coach myself. I talk to myself through my contractions and stuff like that. I'm a very calm laborist, whatever. But I'm like talking to myself through my contractions, whatever. I'm like, all right, so these contractions, I feel like I'm in active labor. Let me try to go to the bathroom. So I went in the bathroom or whatever. And when she came in to, she was still timing my contractions and listening to my baby's heart rate. So when she came in for my next contraction and listened to his heart rate, I was in the bathroom. And she was like, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah. She's like, would you like me to bring you a bath so you can get in the birthing pool? I'm like, oh, sure. She runs the bath. I stand up off the toilet to get in the bath, and the pressure was on. I said, oh my God. Like, immediately, as soon as I stood up, the pressure was on. So I stepped in the bath, and I got in. It was nice and warm, and she turned the jets on. For some reason, the jets in the jacuzzi tub was irritating me so bad. Like, it just made it feel like it was making my contractions worse. Like, worse. So I'm like, please, can you turn this off? So she turned it off. As soon as she turned it off, my water broke. Oop. I said, my water broke. She was like, all right, well, it's unsanitary to stay in the birthing pool once your water break. I never really heard that before, but I didn't want to give birth in the pool anyway, or in the tub anyway. But I just was like, okay. My biggest fear with the birthing tub is, like, some women poop during labor. My biggest fear is pooping in the birthing pool, and now my baby is born in like shitty water. Like, that's like a big fear of mine. So I never ever wanted to like birth in the pool. Like, I didn't mind laboring in there for a while, but I just really didn't want to birth in that pool. I probably was only in there for like a good 20 minutes. So they're like, all right, well, since your water broke or whatever, you have to get up and get out. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I stand up. As soon as I stand up, my baby is crowning, like ready to come out. So they get me out. They're like, okay, sit down on the birthing stool. I'm like, I can't sit down. He coming out. They're like, no, sit down on the birthing stool. Listening to them, I sit down on the birthing stool. Now, at this point, I still have like water pouring out of me. But my body shut down. Like, my body just said, halt everything. and just shut down. So I'm going through these contractions, and like my body is pushing for me, so I'm like, you know, like pushing, but he wasn't moving nowhere. Like he was like, it's like he, as soon as I sat down, he went right back up. It was crazy. So I think I sat on that birthing stool trying to push that baby out for another 45 minutes. Like my body literally shut down. It didn't want to do nothing. Like I couldn't even like get myself together enough to stand up to like do anything. So they're like, all right, well, after this contraction, we're gonna stand you up and we're gonna go over to the bed. Maybe that'll help, and you'll have better, you know, a better way to, you know, push him out. So I'm like, all right, cool. After the contraction, they like, all right, 1, 2, 3. I'm like, I can't move. I can't move. Like for some reason, I just couldn't move. I could not get up. So we waited another contraction. About what I feel was about 60 contractions went by, and I still could not get up off of this birthing stool. I felt like my booty was inside out. I'm like, I just keep telling them like, my butt, my butt. They like, we can give you some warm wet gauze to like put on there or whatever to like counter the pressure so it don't feel like your butt falling out. I'm like, all right, please do that, because like my butt, like the way the birthing stool is set up, everything is like gravitationally like hanging out the middle of the stool, so it literally felt like my butt was just gonna fall out on the floor. Like it was terrible. So we did that, and then for some reason, I don't know why, but the Doc McStuffin theme song kept playing in my head. So like to distract myself from the contractions, I was singing the Doc McStuffin theme song. It's funny now, but it's not funny then, because everybody was looking at each other and looking at me like I was crazy. My husband is just sitting there like, why? I'm like, I don't know. It's just playing in my head and it's working. So I'm gonna just keep going. So then they started joining in with me and singing this Doc McStuffin theme song. So after a while, I finally got up the strength to like get up. I think what happened was that the labor was progressing so fast that my body just needed to like shut down and rest real fast because it knew what I was about to do. So yeah. So as soon as I stood up to walk over to the bed, I stood up. I took one. The bed was only 2 steps away. I took one step, then I took another step, and his head was out. Like it, immediately, as soon as I stood up and took a step, he started falling out. I'm like, oh, here he come, here he come, here he come. Mind you, pain went away, everything went away, and the baby was just coming out. So, so he came out, so now we sitting there, and they set me back down on the birthing stool because I hadn't made it all the way over to the bed yet. So they brought the birthing stool over to where I was, and I sat down on the birthing stool. And they like, okay, well, we're just gonna, you know, sit here and let the gravity from the birthing stool pull down your placenta, and you know, have it come on out. So at this point, my mom had just got there with my daughter, and yeah. So I basically was waiting to deliver my placenta. The contractions was coming, but I guess they weren't strong enough for them to actually like do what it was supposed to do to get my placenta out. So they're like, if your placenta don't come in like the next 2 to 3 minutes, we're gonna have to like go in and get it. So I'm like, well, my daughter is here. Won't I just nurse her to try to like make my contraction stronger? That way it can come out. They're like, oh my God, perfect idea. I never even thought about this. I'm like, yeah, cool. So I get Kylie, Strawberry, and I put her on, and I'm holding the baby, and she's nursing, and everybody's like talking to me and taking pictures, and I'm just focused on making a contraction. Like I know you can't make a contraction, but I'm trying to like make contractions happen. Ooh, child, don't worry, I'm taking it out. I'm trying to make contractions so that this placenta could come out, because whatever the lady just said about going in to get it sounds terrible. It just sounds terrible. So another like 5 to 10 minutes went by, and they like, your placenta still hasn't come out. We need to lay you down. We're gonna give you a shot of Pitocin in your leg to try to help, but we have to go in and get it at this point. If not, you're gonna have to go across the street to the emergency room, and they're gonna have to surgically remove it. And I'm like, what? Like, why? I just had this super awesome delivery, and now, like, it's always something after I deliver that's just like, ugh. But anyway, so we get her out. I lay down on the bed, And she's like, okay, we're going to give you something for pain. I took a ibuprofen 600, I think they gave me. A ibuprofen 600, which for me won't do not a damn thing. So they didn't even wait for it to kick in. She put her gloves on, and when I say she pulled her glove, it looked like she pulled the glove all the way up to her damn elbow. I mean, it didn't stay there long, but like, yeah. So I'm just like, oh my God, what is she about to do? So first she put a couple fingers in. She was like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. She's like, I gotta push on your stomach a little bit. So I'm like, okay. She started pushing on my stomach. I'm like, oh my God. It hurted so bad. So now she's like, I have to put my hand in. I'm like, what? What do you mean? She like, my fingers are in, but I have to put my whole hand in to get it. And I'm just like, she like, all right, we're going 1, 2, 3. I'm like, all right, 1, 2, 3. When I say I felt her hand go in me, her whole hand, y'all, her whole hand. I felt her hand go in me, but then she had to go up and through my cervix. Now, mind you, once you give birth, your cervix starts to close back to its normal state after the baby comes out. It don't stay wide open. So she's pushing through my closing cervix with her whole hand to reach into my uterus to pull out my placenta. My whole body lifted up off the bed. Like I was just like suspended in midair, like off the bed. Like, oh my God, it was so crazy. And at this time, my doula decided to walk in. She's like, oh, okay, the baby is born already. There's nothing for me to do here. Then she seen what was going on and was like, oh, do you want me to hold your hand? Ma'am. Like, I just had no words for her at that point. I'm just like I understand that it kind of happened quickly. So, okay, cool. But you literally walked in at the wrong time. No. You can just go out in a waiting area or something or whatever. Just no. No. That was the most excruciating pain I've ever felt in my entire life. Okay. Not only is the pain bad while it's happening, the recovery the recovery pain is even worse. Like, it was terrible. So now I got my baby. The placenta is out. I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to see nobody. I just want to lay there and just get myself together. But of course, the family is here. My mom comes in, my dad comes in, my grandma comes in. So now everybody is excited and they want to see the baby. They want to hold the baby. This is my dad's first grandson. Well, only grandson, but yeah. First grandson, first boy of the family on his behalf. So he's like super excited. Nobody knows what I just went through. Okay. My husband knows because he was there. But still, like, nobody knows what I just went through. Like, it was crazy. But everybody is like taking the baby from me. He latched on for like a couple seconds, but it wasn't for long because they wanted to get, his weight and stuff done. And usually protocol is to just sit and do skin to skin and try nursing for the first 2 hours. But I was kind of over it. Not over it, but I was like trying to get myself together, and yeah. So they did his assessment, his health assessment or whatever for newborns. Did all that good jazz. Cleaned them up a little bit, and that was that. So now everybody is leaving. It's just me and my mom there. My dad, my grandma went home. My husband went home with the other kids, and it was just me and my mom there. And we kind of like took a nap or whatever. You only have to stay there for 12 hours. So Benzo, I had him at 8 in the morning. I had him at 8:27 in the morning. I got to leave at 8:27 that night. So now it's about 6:30ish in the afternoon. And they like, we have to try to get him to eat again because it's been a while since he ate. And the first time he latched, he really didn't get much, because of whatever. So I'm like, okay. So we get him on and he wouldn't latch. like wooden ledge. And I'm just like, so they're like, all right, well, let's try with a spoon. So they put, like, I espresso milk into the spoon, and we tried to give it to him on the spoon, and he would drink it on the spoon. So they're like, all right, well, you know, just keep working with them or whatever. We have to get him to eat a certain amount before you guys can go home, or at least get him to try to latch. Even though the nurse is going to come see you tomorrow morning, we still have to kind of get, you know, somewhere before we allow you to go home. So I'm like, all right, cool. So he drank I think they wanted him to drink like 10 mLs or something like that, 10 or 20 mLs. So he drank the 20 or to 10 mLs through we started putting it in a syringe, like one of those medicine syringes. Put it in a syringe, and he drank it that way, and we were good. And we went home. Now, I want to say at this point, it's like around 8:30. It's time for us to go home. When we get home, I go right to sleep. The baby is knocked out, and I try a few times to get up in the middle of the night to try to feed him, but he would not wake up to latch. Like, he would not wake up to eat at all. So I'm just like, all right, well, we'll deal with it in the morning. When the nurse get here, she'll help me, you know, try to feed him. So the morning comes, and she texts me like, I know I was supposed to come to you. Like, it's supposed to be like a 12-hour thing. So I left at 8:27 or 8:30. She was supposed to come to me at 8:30 that morning to come assess me or whatever. She's like, something came up, something happened. We have an emergency here at the birth center, so I'm not gonna be able to get to you until like 12 p.m. But are you okay? Is everything okay? I'm like, he still won't eat. I feel fine, but he still won't eat. So she's just like, okay, we'll keep trying with the syringe like we showed you or whatever until I get there, and then we'll try, you know, basically like a nursing consultant type session while she was there. Okay, cool. So got him to eat a little bit on a syringe, but he still was really sleepy. Like, my baby would not wake up. Like, I knew he was alive because he was like breathing and, you know, moving like newbornish. You know how they do. But he would not wake up. So when a nurse got there, like around 12:30, she did my vitals, she did his vitals, and she's like, okay, so in order for me to get him to get a good latch, the reason why he's not getting a good latch is because he's not awake. Like, I need to fully wake him up, get him to like cry a little bit so that he can open his mouth and like his body can tell him that he's hungry. So I'm like, okay. So she stripped my baby butt naked, put him on my chest, and was like plucking the bottom of his feet. And she was saying something about the bottom of his feet, like the coloring of the bottom of his feet wasn't getting red like it was supposed to, whatever. So she just was like, and being as though he's really, really lethargic and sleepy, let's try a glucose test. So she pricked my baby foot. She took like a glucose test with this little reader thing that she has. And she said that his sugar was really, really low. And at that point, even if I was to nurse him right then and there and he was to latch, he probably wouldn't get as much as he needed, because at this point he went so long without eating that his sugar was really low, and then we needed to take him back to the hospital. So I think we're going to be continued this, and we're going to talk about everything that happened in the hospital in another video, because it's a long, drawn out, and a story, y'all. Okay, a story. Both of my babies after delivery had hospital stays that I'll talk about in another video, because yeah, it's just going to be long and drawn out. So to be continued.